Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. It is me, your host John Green, and we are the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers. Today we are taking on Reading, or as they are known in America, Reading. I think it's great that, English soccer chose to name a town after an activity that I think so highly of. Today I am going to talk to you about Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin. Oh boy, just look at the power of the Swoodilypoopers. Because he is our forward right now. Bald John Green has been out for 38 days. We know that he's going to be out for at least 40 days, but we don't know anything else. And we know that his season is in doubt. And we also know that we suck without him, as we learned yesterday playing Italian opposition. So we've turned to Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin. Look, I have made the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers out to be as heroic as possible. You guys know about Fat Lucas's struggles. You know that just because you're a recovering alcoholic living in sobriety doesn't necessarily mean that all your demons are gone, and that Fat Lucas is evidence of that. Of course, it's not just recovering alcoholics and non-recovering alcoholics who have demons. The rest of us do too. But the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers momentarily freezing in time, upsetting the space-time continuum, but they return to play. Thank you, world, for allowing my Swoodilypoopers to continue playing. By the way, I made other John Green the captain of our club because I wasn't happy with the leadership vacuum in the wake of Bald John Green's leaving the club. So, yeah, now we have other John Green as our captain, and hopefully that's going to help because since Bald John Green's injury, frankly, we haven't been where I'd like us to be, just in terms of organization and leadership and, good feeling among the players for one another. That's not what I meant to hit. Sorry. So, I've made the players out to be as heroic as possible because, the truth is, these are the Swoodilypoopers, and they're our boys, and they are heroes, and they truly are, in a deep and profound way, because they're up here in the championship playing against much better opposition day in and day out, and they're winning, well, or losing, but usually winning, often winning, not because they're superior or because their manager is good, because God knows I have no talent for this game whatsoever, but because they have heart. And that's the thing that you can't buy. That's the thing that Manchester City hasn't been able to purchase while spending $400 million on players. And that's what we love about the Swoodilypoopers. Look, Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin, that guy has heart, but he is... look, I'm proud to have him on my club. I'm proud to have him up front for the Swoodilypoopers, but I would not be pleased if, my daughter brought him home. Couple things. First off, Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin, not a believer in monogamy. That's not where his interests lie. Secondly, Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin. I want to say this nicely, but he knows how to party. He knows all different varieties of partying. And that's not something he's hidden or been even embarrassed about. Goal! It's other John Green! Yes! 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 Great goal from other John Green. He used to be Jay Bennett, but then he got married to his fellow striker, John Green, who is sadly injured. But hopefully we'll be back at some point. A couple things about Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin. Look, I don't care what you do at night as long as you get to the field on time in the morning for your practices. But there's no question that Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin comes from the George Best school of playing soccer, for those of you who are Manchester United supporters. He's a hard partying guy, and on more than one occasion I've certainly seen him come to the Swoodilypoopers training ground with a cup of coffee and some pretty bloodshot eyes. That said, he is a finisher. Stone Cold Steve with a C. Austin. We're up 2-0 on Reading. Why couldn't we have done this yesterday against far superior Italian opposition? Reading, by the way, former Premier League club. Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers, future Premier League club. But in addition to his passion for partying and limited enthusiasm for monogamy, he has what we look for in Swoodilypoopers players, which is loyalty. He values the team. He values what's good for the team. When he starts, he's happy. When he's on the bench, he's happy as well. He's looking to contribute. That's important. As a person, I mean, the guy, he definitely got an ego. But when it comes time to be a professional, he is there for the club, and that's the most important thing from our perspective. Like that's what we look for in our players, and he fits the bill. Now, will he always be part of the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers? That really depends upon his behavior. As long as he is a professional and takes his job seriously and continues to score beautiful goals like the one that he scored here in the first half against Reading, yes, he will be a member of the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers. But he and I have talked before about the fact that, look, if I were him, I would live my life differently, and he's aware of that. He is. The other thing about Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin is that it must be said that the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers are an unusually intellectually engaged group of people. As far as actual football players go, there's generally I'm not going to say that football is an inherently intellectual game because you've got to be creative about the use of space and not give up the ball really easily like other John Green just did. But it's also a game where it requires so much of your energy and thought, so much of, if you're going to be a professional soccer player, so much of your life has to go into thinking about soccer and a deep understanding of the game. I mean, that's really got to be your number one priority if you're going to be a professional. And so some people are able to do that and read Nietzsche. Some people, like for instance, other John Green. Some people aren't as interested in that stuff. Like for instance, Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin. He's a tough talking, rabble-rousing guy. From a working class suburb of London, and that's always been the man he is, and he's not embarrassed of it. And I like a guy who knows who he is and likes himself. And God knows Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin likes himself. And that's not inherently unhealthy. There's nothing inherently bad about that. So I don't want you guys to think that they're all a bunch of heroes, or that they're all uncomplicated people, because they're not. I certainly. I'm a huge fan of Bald John Green and other John Green. I have to say also, though, that, in the same way that, there's a lot of people out there who love a good Slytherin, I bet there's going to be people out there who love a good Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin, I mean, you got to have, there's nothing wrong with having a guy who's a football player's football player, who lives his life like he's, making good money and having a good time. He's young. His body's good at being a body, and he's not afraid to brag about it. Other John Green, 3-0. Huzzah! And the great, one thing I will say about Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin is a lot of players, when their teammates came out, not only as being gay, but as being married to each other, a lot of players would have reacted differently than Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin. He's a coarse guy, so you're not necessarily going to expect him to use particularly sensitive language when it comes time to talk about homosexuality and same-sex marriage. That's got to be a foul. Oh, boy. I haven't had a penalty in a long time. Yes, it is a penalty. It is. I'm sorry. I am sorry, guy in green, but it is a penalty. He's like, my name is Federici. I'm very upset about this penalty. But yeah, it's a penalty. Life is hard and full of disappointment. M. Mills, back up, back up, back up, back up. You don't get to complain. I'm going to take my penalty. Very excited about this. If you guys have seen some of my early FIFA work with Hank, you'll know that I make about one penalty out of every 700 tries. So we'll see how this goes. Yo! With a hat trick. Other John Green with the hat trick. So proud of him. Anyway, what I like about Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin is that when the press was pushing for a quote about how he was offended or how he was upset or how it was unnatural or whatever, Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin was like, look, this is people, this is their lives, whatever. Who cares? Why are you making such a big deal out of it? He is one of those guys who talks in a lot of sports cliches, like most sports players. Particularly when talking to the press. Talking to the press is not something that Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin enjoys, it must be said. He's just not, it's just not a lot of fun for him. He doesn't think very highly of reporters. He doesn't really understand what they do for a living, and he sort of feels like they're just there to try to annoy him and try to catch him saying something bad so they can write about what a womanizer he is. But, he's not going to apologize for being himself. You got to give me a penalty there. I mean, a free kick. And now I shall. Now, why are you doing another substitution? You're down 4-0. You think things are going to change? Nothing is going to change. That was a little high. I want to apologize to my family for that terrible free kick. All right, so anyway, Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin really impressed me, as did everybody on the Swoodilypoopers in the wake of the first same-sex marriage in the history of professional football. Everybody on the team was completely unoffended, except for F. Bolzoni, who said that he had some unfortunate things to say, but he and I had a talk, and that won't be happening again. Trust me. You cannot stop other John Green. Once he starts scoring, he never stops scoring. And look at that. He's not afraid to put his knees in between Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin's knees. I mean, that guy, he's not homophobic. He knows who he is. He knows what he likes. And he is. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are gonna like him. I don't know how he's gonna behave in the future. But I can tell you this: as long as he scores a lot of goals and doesn't behave in a way that's unbecoming of a Swoodilypooper, he's going to be on my club. So that's an introduction to Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin. There's lots of other players on the Swoodilypoopers who you'll be meeting, and also, hopefully, we will have Bald John Green back someday soon. I miss the guy desperately. I think we all miss him here in Swoodilypooper land. I will see you next time. Actually, I won't see you, but you'll hear me next time on Hank Games. Thanks for watching, and as always, best wishes.